Good evening and welcome to the August 16, 2023 regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. Anthony Riddick, the 2023 Chair of the Board. I'm joined this evening by Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, Vice Chair, Commissioner Linda Hoffler, Commissioner Brian Roundtree, Commissioner Emily Truman, County Manager Scott Sauer, County Attorney Philip Pitt Godwin, and Clerk to the Board, Jolitha Chestnut. Commissioner Linda Hoffler will lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, as we come tonight, let us pause to thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed on us. That we have family and friends, we have food and shelter and clothing, but unfortunately that's not true for everyone. Dear God, let us have our eyes open, make sure that we are good neighbors and that we check on them, especially during this heat wave, that they have water or if they have fans to help them. But we need always to think about your teachings of being a good neighbor. And as we go forth on tonight, as we deal with county business, give us wisdom and discernment. Let us learn to listen to each other and find that we agree probably more than we disagree. And that through the efforts of all, we can make Gates County a better place for all people. All these things we ask in thy name and for thy sake. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There needs to be an adjustment to the agenda. We have an addition to new business item F, Albemarle Commission Regional Advisory Council. A motion to add Albemarle Commission Regional Advisory Council to the new business item F.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. There needs to be an adjustment to the agenda. We have an addition to new business item A, Budget Amendment F24-003, ARHS Community Linkages to Care Grant, August Community Linkages to Care Grant Agreement. Action requested, a motion to add addition to new business item A, Budget Amendment F24-003.
So moved. I'll second that motion.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
You see the consent agenda. Action requested, a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion's approved. You just approved the Child Support Awareness Month, August 2023. I will read you the proclamation. Whereas Gates County is recognizing August as Child Support Awareness Month and reaffirms its commitment to strengthening Gates County's families by providing child support services to improve the economic stability and well-being of children, and whereas the state fiscal year 2022-2023, more than $1.2 million in child support was collected from parents of Gates County's children, and whereas there are nearly 413 child support orders in place, working to ensure that more than 438 children receive financial support from their parents, and whereas the court must order either parent to obtain and maintain medical health insurance coverage for a child if it is actually and currently available to the parent at a reasonable cost. Whereas Child Support Awareness Month salutes the diligent working parents who spend time with their child and who make regular child support payments to safeguard their children's future. And whereas strengthening individuals and families promotes the safety and well-being of children, provides stability, improves the lives of children, and provides opportunities for families to be able to enhance their children's future. And whereas children who do not receive adequate financial and emotional support from their parents may experience greater difficulty in becoming healthy, happy, and productive citizens. And whereas many concerned and dedicated judges, district attorneys, clerks of court, sheriff's personnel, and child support professionals work to establish and enforce child support orders for Gates County children, one of our county's most vital resources. Now, therefore, we, the Gates County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim August 2023 as Child Support Awareness Month in Gates County and commend its observance to all citizens. Approved on this day, 16th day of August 2023. Now I'll ask Mr. Willie Smith to come to the podium and his guest. Let's give them a hand.
Good evening, board and our guests here. I want to introduce our program manager, Mr. Alden Miller, here with the Young Williams, our contracted provider for child support services. I want to take a quick moment to just give him and Young Williams a shout out for all the great work they do here in our county. I attest their good work to the fact that I don't get any complaints from any citizens regarding their performance and any questions or issues. So again, for that, I do want to say thank you. Also, on top of that, as Dr. Riddick requested I make a quick comment about, you all as the board are already aware of what took place a couple weeks back at the Social Services Institute that is held by the North Carolina Association of County Social Service Directors. Our office had received the 2023 Innovation Award for Community Engagement for our community baby shower, our annual community baby shower that we hold. Last year we did a great job with it. I'll comment real quick about it. We had about 25 young expecting and upcoming current parents there that we were able to provide some diapers, all those kind of things, baby resources and items for them. And as I piggyback on that real quick, please be on the lookout. I'll probably comment at our next meeting. At November 9th will be our second annual community baby shower. So hopefully we will start to make some announcements about that in order to receive some donations and supplies and support and requests along those lines. So again, November 9th, we don't have a time yet. It'll probably be either 1 to 4 or 2 to 4, and it'll be at the community center. Held in the gym. So again, November 9th, just be on the lookout for that. But again, thank you, Young Williams and Mr. Miller, for all the great work that they do. And also, last and finally, a quick shout out to my staff. They are awesome, in case you all are not aware of that, because a lot of what happens in this county is because of them. And any comments or nice pleasantries you may have about Willie Smith being a great director, I can assure you it's because of them. They make me look good. So again, just thank you for the opportunity of acknowledging the proclamation and for your continued support. So thank you.
All right, don't go anywhere. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners of Gates County, I present you with this proclamation signed by the board chair and certified by our clerk to the board.
Quick picture, if you don't mind. All right.
Commissioners in front. That's why Jonathan has a jacket on. You don't want to say anything. It's a good thing. Next item on the agenda, we have a new hire, and County Manager Scott Sowers will be introducing our new hire, Scott Pierce, IT Director.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Scott Pierce. He will be fully engaged in taking over the IT program here. He's been on the ground about 2.5 weeks, and he's been in almost all of the departments and has had great transitional help and support with Mr. Curry, and I think we can expect great things from that.
We want to welcome you, Mr. Pierce. It's tradition. You have to come to the mic and greet us. Can't hide over there in the corner. No, you come on up. No, you can't get out of there. No.
Well, I'd just like to say I've had a blast so far. I'd like to thank William and Scott and all the commissioners for the opportunity to serve here in Bertie. I'm sorry about that. Gates County, I've been over there a long time. Y'all have to forgive me. But like I said, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody have any comments for Mr. Pierce?
I'm sure I'll be seeing you.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
I was teasing the other day that it's Scott Pierce and Scott Sauer. I can't have two scotches, so I had to chime him something else. Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am.
Next on the item is public hearing CDBG NR 2018 closeout. I ask for a motion to open the public hearing for CDBG NR 2018 closeout.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved in second. We're in public hearing. Mr. Sauer, County Manager, will you just please start the discussion, please?
Madam Chair, we're here this evening to receive public comment on the closeout of a project that's been ongoing for a number of years. The county had received $750,000 to help with demolition and reconstruction of properties at 717 Carter's Road, 408 Mill Pond Road, 309 Tuggy Yor Road, and 755 Willetton Road. Additionally, the county, over a course of the grant period, had utilized about $61,000 of local funds to help fill in the gaps. But it's our opportunity now to receive public comments and officially close out the grant cycle.
Madam Clerk, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, ma'am. I have Mr. Anthony Sanders,
Mr. Saunders, will you please come to the podium?
Precinct 3.
Good evening. Anthony Saunders, 798 Wellington Road, Gates, North Carolina. Attorney Godwin, who has been on board with this housing committee for some time, making sure we have all the legal documents signed and properly done. To the Board of Commissioners, old and new members, to the late Dr. Henry Jordan, who served as a board member for housing, and our former commissioner, Jack Owens, who served very diligently with the Housing Committee. To our county manager, Scott Sauer, who came on board and didn't know what he was walking into, but he's been moving ever since, and we're very appreciative to all you've done. Just want to say thank you as a housing board member. It's been a challenging road from 2014 to now, but well worth it. The joy and look on the four families' faces when they receive their keys to their new homes is more than a person could ask for. The housing committee, most of those members have regular jobs, and they do this because they care about the welfare of people here in the county. So again, to the housing committee, thank you for having a side job, which is the housing, making the quality of life better for everyone here. The Housing Committee continues to do home repairs as we speak, and tonight we hope that this grant will be closed out, that we can then continue to request other grants so we can continue doing the business of the county for the citizens, making life better for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion from the commissioners?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to say it brings me great satisfaction knowing that 4 individuals in our county is in a better housing, living situation. And I want to thank the Housing Committee also and all that was involved for making sure that these families have an appropriate place to stay.
Any other comments or discussion?
I would also like to say thank you to the Housing Committee. They put in some time and effort. Thank you to Mr. Sauer. This has been ongoing for a long time. Thank you to Mr. Godwin for the trials and tribulations y'all been through. But we finally got it closed out, and thank the good Lord for that.
I also would like to thank the Housing Committee. It's been a long process, and I'm sorry that it's taken this long, as we all are, but that was beyond our control. But if you had seen the places that these people were living, we would all be shocked that that is occurring in Gates County. And So those, we've got 4.
Yes, ma'am.
But there's, and we're glad to have those 4.
No, I agree with the thank you, and I agree with the closing this out so we can move forward with new projects and more families.
I also would like to thank especially our county attorney, Mr. Godwin. He took that bull by the horn last year and worked through all the paperwork, the legalities and everything. Unfortunately, we've had 2 of the residents that were for their homes to pass away before they could enjoy their homes, but their families are enjoying their homes. And we hope to apply for more grants. We have a lot of need in the county, not just for replacement homes, but repairs. And we're going to continue to work diligently with state and local, and especially Albemarle Commission, to identify those grants and get them in and see what we can do for more repairs and more home repairs. I want to thank Mr. Sauer. He came in, I think it was February, March, and he just jumped right in and took over and saw it through. We have a couple other things in the house we must do. So I want to thank the commissioners. I want to thank the county attorney, Jolitha, as the clerk, the housing committee, and the citizens for identifying and helping us identify those in need. If no further discussion, no further comments, I ask for a motion to close the public hearing for CDBG NR 2018 closeout.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Sowers, is there anything else?
We need a motion for you as chair to sign off on the draft minutes of these so we can send those into the Department of Commerce this week.
I need a motion for your chair to sign off on the draft minutes to send into the Department of Commerce.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Ayes have it. We have closed this grant. Let's give us a big hand. Next on the agenda is special presentations. 6-month update from Office of Congressman Don Davis, David Webb, Regional Director. Mr. Webb, come to the podium.
Good evening to the board, to the chairwoman, to the county officials, to the citizens of Gates County. It is an honor to be here with you this evening. My name is David Webb, and I'm the regional director with Congressman Don Davis's office. And I'm grateful to be here because Gates County is a part of the 19 counties that make up the 1st Congressional District. And it's important that we are showing up and letting everybody know about the services that we provide and the ways that we're engaging so that we can be the most supportive to the county as well as to the citizens here in Gates County. So thank you for a little bit of time. I want to talk a little bit about the number one thing our office does, and that is congressional casework. So we have somebody that works in our office that is a federal liaison, that works as a liaison between the federal agencies and the constituents. So if you have an issue with a federal agency, such as trying to get your passport, right, from the Department of State, we can help with that process. If somebody's trying to get their Veterans Affairs or their benefits, we can help with that process. Obviously, we cannot change the outcome, but when we put a request in, they are required to respond to that request that we put in a timely fashion, and we're able to tell you what that time requirement is when they come. So certainly want to be able to support you in that way. Another way that we can be supportive is through constituent outreach. So if there are people in the community that need us to show up and be in person, that is what a lot of my role is to be here in the community and meet with you here in person, talk about your issues for the county to help, get funding and help you identify ways that we can, support you through grant letters and letters of support. Another way that we can be helpful with the young people is through congressional education programs. So there are 3 major programs that we offer for youth in the House, and that is the Congressional Art Competition, and that will come up towards the end of the school year, where any high school student has the opportunity to submit artwork for judgment by neutral judges that will come to our office. We'll have a banquet. The winner will even have their artwork displayed in D.C., and a few of the runner-up will be in our district office. We also do the Congressional App Challenge, which starts at the beginning of the school year, so we'll be in touch with commissioners with that information and educators as well. And that is where students have the opportunity to engage in coding and bringing that kind of stuff here to the East for that competition. And the third way is anybody that's interested in the Military Academy, we do nominations for that. So there will be a process where you can reach out and request a Military Academy nomination. And then we can do letters and greetings. So if somebody retires, if somebody has done something wonderful in the community, the folks that work really hard on this housing project, folks that work in our community centers and our senior centers and serving the public, we can give you a letter, a congressional letter of thanks or congratulations, or you can condolence. So please do not hesitate to reach out to our office. If there's a way that we can do that to support you, we can even send somebody down to present that letter or have you present it. So you let us know how we can be helpful in that regard. We also do flag requests. So if somebody, would like a flag, we can fly a flag over the Capitol for special situations and then present that to you with a special plaque to go with that as well to let you know that is what happened with that flag and why we did that. So if you want to do that, all of these things, by the way, are accessible on our website. So if you did not take notes, just know that those things are there as well. I spoke about federal grant assistance. As you all are applying for grants, as nonprofits apply for grants, we can do letters of support on behalf of the congressman. So please let us know how we can do that. Please know that Congressman Davis, even though I am here, please know that Congressman Davis, when he is here, he is showing up in the community, whether that is in the form of town halls or telephone town halls, which I'm sure some folks have gotten blown up about, or visiting educations, institutions, or visiting small businesses and nonprofits. He is doing that to be present in the community in numerous ways. But we want to know the way you want us to show up. So if there's things that you want the congressman to show up at, please let us know so we can do those things. In addition, I'd like to give you all a little bit of a legislative update and then talk about community project funding as well. In terms of legislative update, the congressman is ranked as one of the most bipartisan members of Congress. He has co-sponsored 150 pieces of legislation, 100 of those being bipartisan. He has an 85% bipartisanship record, which allows him to get a lot done as a freshman member. He is the vice-ranking member of the House Agriculture Committee as well as the House Armed Services Committee, which we know are both critical to Eastern North Carolina and Gates County. So we're super excited that he's able to represent us on those committees. He has also co-led 21 pieces of legislation, and of the 8 that he has personally introduced, 6 have been considered bipartisan. In terms of appropriations and community project funding, which is the funding that comes down from the House to your local towns, counties, and nonprofits, Congress has set the stage for a very chaotic September with the House and Senate on a collision course over appropriations, and the risk of partial government shutdown is currently being assessed. Out of the 12 annual appropriation bills that have to be passed every year, the House has only passed one of those bills, and that would be the Military Construction and Veteran Affairs Funding Bill. Because those 12 bills have yet to pass, and the members in the districts are in the district until mid-September, there will likely not be enough time to get all the funding stuff done by the deadline of September 30th. This likely means that we will see a consideration of a continuing resolution, which means continuing the current funding levels of the previous year, right? Not the upcoming community project funding, but previous years, until they are able to pass an appropriations bill. With this being said, those projects in the respective, all of the projects are in the respective committee reports, and all of these bills, we obviously cannot guarantee that they will pass this year, but we will be pushing for that. Full circle, I want to be candid that the congressman is very interested in telling the story of Eastern North Carolina. We know the folks in Gates County have plenty of stories and plenty of heroes that need to be elevated and highlighted at the national level. So that means as there are things that happen, as you know of things, please let us know, because the congressman will do a 1-minute floor speech to highlight that. And it will be sealed in the congressional record until the end of time with a plaque that we can then present to the person, institution, or individual or agency that did that awesome thing. For example, the congressman met a veteran that was 102 years old that had been shot down in World War II twice as a bomber pilot and lived to tell the story to the congressman. So he went and told that story of the man from Franklin County. And then I was able to present him that congressional record. So please let us know those heroes that exist out here so we can highlight that for the community. Please follow us on social media so you can stay in touch with how we're here, and know that my business cards with my personal cell phone on the back side are up here at the front. If there's any way we can be supportive, I yield back my time, and I thank you all for so much time. Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. And Mr. Webb neglected to inform you that he's at the library in the county every month, sometime twice a month. They give him space there. We arrange for him to have space there so you can actually sit down and talk with him. Not on the phone, not email, but you can go down to the library when he's there. And if you want to know his schedule, just ask the clerk, or call the clerk, or call me, and we'll say, okay, he's coming this week at 10 o'clock. He always arrives at 10 o'clock at the library. He's there sometime from 10 to 4. And he's very visible in the county. We have given him a tour of the county. He's been to events. He was at the EV charging event. He was at the stakeholder meeting for the medical center in town last week. So he was in the town twice last week. So he's on the ground. So if you want to talk with him, pick up his card, call him, or go down and sit with him. And we thank you for your service, and that Congressman Don Davis, that we appreciate all he's doing. Okay. Next is ARHS 2022 Annual Child Fatality Prevention Team Report. Sandra Farabee, Albemarle Regional Health Service. Come on up, Ms. Farabee.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I do have just some stuff. Hey, everybody, I'm Sandy Farabee with Albemarle Regional Health Services. I have some handouts for you guys to pass around, and I have some more I can keep here for everybody to look at later. It's just got some data points specifically for Gates County, and also be able to compare it to North Carolina rates. Where you see the lines, they are zero, so that just means nothing happened in your county for those, for that data piece. Well, while I have someone that can talk money real quick, we cover 8 counties. Gates County is one of the counties. CFPT is a requirement for us to do, for the health department to do. Excuse me. For all 8 counties, we get about, I think it's like $1,300 a year. It's nothing. So, like, there's my appeal to you there. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of bodies. Anybody who has ever sat on a CFPT meeting or ever had to even read an investigation of a child death, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of emotion involved. Excuse me. Y'all, I'm nervous. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay. But anyway, but we do it because it's important, right? That's what public health does. Public health does a ton of stuff, not for the funding, but because it's important to the community. So there's my plug for that. Okay. So CFPT is child fatality. We review the deaths of children. So that means one single breath all the way up through all the way up to age 18. So it could be a baby that was born at 22 weeks for whatever the reason. If that baby took one breath, we have to investigate it. We have to figure out what the barriers are. We have to figure out what could we have done to improve the pregnancy if it's a baby. If it's a wreck, does that area need a 4-way stoplight? Or if it's a pool drowning, should we do education on locks and things like that? So the purpose of the Child Fatality Prevention System for North Carolina is to identify the deficiencies and gaps in the delivery of services to children and families, to assess, recommend, and implement systems for change that will prevent future child deaths, and to promote the understanding and causes of the child death. So just some highlights of our accomplishments. And I say I'm not currently serving on the CFPT for any county right now, but I do oversee all of them for all 8 counties. I've served on Pasquotank County for about 6 years in the past. So I take it very personally. These are my kids that when we're looking at how to make it better, that's why I'm here. So perinatal health, for one. 2/3 of all child deaths are due to infants under age 1. So the focus of that group is on the reduction of infant mortality with the emphasis on prematurity equity in birth outcomes and reducing prematurity and birth defects, on SIDS, and accomplishments such as 17P to reduce preterm births, safe sleep practices, and the promotion of breastfeeding. Another group we look at are unintentional death prevention areas. So this focuses on preventing unintentional child deaths to those due to motor vehicle accidents, poisonings, drownings, fires, with such accomplishments such as graduated driver's license requirements. I have a 15-year-old right now, so you know there's like a step system to get your driver's license now. Increased penalties for speeding in school zones, booster and infant seat requirements, ATF restrictions, increased fee to restore suspended license to help fund the detection conviction of impaired driving, bike helmet laws, smoke detectors, and carbon dioxide requirements. And also intentional death prevention. So that focuses on preventing abuse, neglect, suicide, and homicide. We have accomplishments in rewriting child welfare laws. I think that group has left, but just total shout out to DSS for everything that they're involved in with us too. We support home visiting and family preservation programs, promote safe surrender for babies who would otherwise be abandoned, increase the penalty for selling a gun to a minor, manufacturing meth in a location that endangers children or any other product, and support for trauma-informed care. So every year I have to give a report to my Board of Health. Mr. Roundtree is our liaison for that. And so this is some of the stuff that we report out on. So we always provide a summary of the causes of death within the district. Of course, everything's confidential, and especially in a county that's super, super small with low numbers, we want to make sure we de-identify and don't discuss specific cases, but that's why I'm being very general today. We talk about the number of cases reviewed across the district, and we also talk about the recommendations that we make in prevention and share local team activities and accomplishments. So the regional teamwork, so our regional team of all 8 counties recently have been focusing on suicide prevention, mental health resources for youth. We've gotten emails from the state coordinator regarding webinars and trainings, all focused around CFPT. And we also partnered with the Albemarle Overdose Prevention Coalition. We've outreached activities with schools such as Trillium, working with Trillium in the school systems, Safe School, Healthy Kids training modules, mental health first aid virtual trainings for youth and adults. And we've also promoted that with our clinical employees the past couple years. Another thing that we did was laughing yoga. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's part of mental health first aid resource and training for employees. It's kind of silly, but a lot of fun. So if you don't know what that is, you should Google it. Many participated also in the Red Ribbon Week, which promotes keeping our kids drug-free. So just generally, somewhere about 1,300 kids die in North Carolina every year. In 2020, the chief medical examiner actually investigated 511 child deaths. It's pretty significant. You know, not every death gets truly investigated, like down to the CFPT team. We do investigate every death. Let me reword that. But then if there's other extenuating circumstances, they go a little deeper. We also have cases sometimes that the state wants to review and we have to do an audit on. Very intensive. It's about a week-long process, just digging into every little nook and cranny of what happened, what could the community have done different, what could the doctor's office have done different, were they connected with DSS or the health department or the HOPS program, or, you know, what were they connected with? So super, super busy, lots of work. But the good news is, unfortunately, there's child deaths, but there is good news because we do have things that come out from it, like I was saying earlier. We have been able to promote youth mental health education among teachers and in the school systems. There's also bills and such, I don't know what all the words are, I guess, for progress in the House and in the Senate. So these are around safe sleep practices, including comprehensive toxicology testing for medical examiner jurisdiction, child deaths, endorsing legislation again for bike helmets, and funding for programs to prevent harm to youth and infants caused by tobacco and nicotine. So really the main thing, all CFPT teams just strive for the enhancement of resources. We're always looking for a resource. We're always looking for a service that could help somebody do something better. And ultimately, it's for the safety and well-being of children and their families. And it is a big group. That's a requirement by the state. We have protocol we have to follow. You have to have a designee from the health director. You have to have a designee from the medical community, and so on and so forth. So that's really about all I have, I think. I just want to say, Ms. Riddick taught me a few years ago. I'm not going to go back exactly how long, but I just thank you, Ms. Riddick, for everything you've taught me for forever and ever. It's come a long way, and it's really stuck with me.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any
And for me-
questions for Ms. Farragut?
No questions, but I really love the emphasis on the youth mental health, as it's so often put off as they're just being a teen or it's normal for this age, and the emphasis on going into that and providing them the care and the help that they need is huge.
It is. It is. We and some other initiatives I've worked on in the past would be I don't know if you guys, it's been several years, we had those jelly rings that said wait to text, W8 to text. We distributed them throughout all the school systems. We did it at prom to make sure that people weren't texting and driving. We've also done these posters that shows what candy versus pills look like, so how easy it is for children to think their mom's pill is actually an M&M or a Tic Tac or something like that. So all of those educational items that you guys see, a lot of those were made with the support of the CFPT teams. So, all right. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay,
Farragut.
thank you.
All right. The next presentation is the multi-agency hazmat training exercise summary. And I'm asking the interim emergency service director, Billy Trotweiler, and 911 director, Don Abbott, to approach the podium, please.
Thanks for inviting us to come and speak today about our hazmat exercise we had back on the 29th of July. This is kind of a review on the process we're at. PowerPoint, you guys got some handouts. So this one was particular was the Gates County hazmat exercise. We also called it the 3-truck exercise. Next. So kind of display what an exercise is kind of differently from some other training. If you look on the chart there, it kind of varies from complexity to measure more capability, with the full-scale exercise being the larger end of that scale, and that's what this event was. Next one. So we're talking about some differences. We really started back with some workshops and different seminars and trainings that we've done on certain skill or response. And that kind of describes the differences there in the handout. Then we do some tabletops. This is where we kind of meet the public safety agencies or responders meet, and we kind of talk it out around the table about the response and try to work out any differences and refine the plan there. And then we have the functional exercise trainings, drills. These are smaller ones where we may come together with at each agency level, each fire department or police department, and we work on different things on how we get notified, how we start, and specific drills to the full-scale exercises at the end. This is where we're all coming together. This particular exercise, we had 65 participants of emergency responders on a very hot day. It was a great turnout. We had over 75 people on county observers, the people that's coming out taking notes, and then probably another 10 of the people just evaluating. Next one. So there were some steps to setting this up, and we'll talk about some of those steps. It doesn't happen overnight. And we secure grant funding as the first step. Some of the main ones that we have used is this one meet some requirements under 2 different grants at EMPG, it's Emergency Management Performance Grants. Under that, we had chosen an activity where we had to hold some full skies exercise. This is the last of 3 that makes that for this year. And the funding came through the Hazardous Material Emergency Preparedness Grant. That's where we have the funds to secure a vendor to help us with the grant. It does have to meet the Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program. That's one reason why we get an outside vendor who gives us some documentation, some of it we have, some of it we're still waiting on to finish this cycle. But those are some of the requirements in the cycle. We have conducted it. We're working under that green section there, evaluating, and then we're going to improve our plans from there.
Okay.
So the first step was to have the first meeting with stakeholders. Here's some lists of some of the stakeholders. We had that meeting, and that was with fire, EMS, law, communications, emergency management, and we set what we wanted to do, the goals of what we want to do, who we look for. From there, we had the next step was securing a vendor. We used SAM Safety Consultant as our vendor to put on the exercise for us. And they prepared some of the documents. They had to meet some requirements there too. And that's where we kind of build things from there. Then we had a planning meeting to identify the purpose, the scope, the set, the data. And then from there, the second meeting comes back, he brings the situation manual, which is the other document you have here. And in there, you'll find a list of what we laid out. And I left that, that's a couple page document, so I figured you could read that on your own. Next slide. And that's the document. And from there, some of us had to do some roles from there. We had to find role players. We had to find a partner. We had a great partner with Dixie Auto, who did literally the heavy lifting of setting up the scenario, giving us a place to respond, so we had to walk off the road. And they were a really great partner. We had some role players with the search team, communications had some things to do. EMS got some outside medical mutual aid partners that come to this group. We had 2 different counties for appointments and tax participated. Some stuff you had to do.
No, so training is imperative to public safety, as we all know. So it was really exciting to be able to participate in something like this. My dispatchers, I had Christy Johnson and Jennifer Feltner were the dispatchers and they both had positive feedback. They really enjoyed being a part of it and preparing for something in the real world that this could happen at any point. So we really enjoyed it, and we were really thankful to Thomas Ward and Dixie Auto for donating his time and his business to let us do that.
Really made it happen.
Yeah.
I've got some more slides, kind of show some pictures of the thing. So the rough of the incident, when you read it, it was a school bus had struck. People that already wrecked a car underneath of it struck in a rollover. Fire. So initially we had gone to, they called, we had role players call and answer 911. 911 actually paged it out. And then we got the responders, and we just had some highlighted photos. They had 13 total patients to treat, transport, and triage, as well as vehicle stabilization, extrication of some vehicles.
It was really hot that day.
And it was very hot.
Really hot.
Some more patients. Later in the incident, kind of as an inject, we had a vehicle simulate running in the back of one of the fire trucks that had some chemicals that had to be, was part of the requirements for the grant funding, and they had to mitigate those things. We had to make sure accountability was held, safety was held, lots of people, lots of jobs. We had 65 people and everybody was busy the whole time. After the exercise, we have a hot wash. This was conducted with the on-site responders, kind of get some feedback immediately, talk it over, make sure no one's injured. We had a lot of good input during that hot wash. From there, SAM Safety Consultant with the paperwork from their observers are going to prepare an after-action report. That we still haven't received that. It's still not due quite yet. And the after-action report is very important to us. After-action reports we use to help justify grants for other things other than training, equipment, and things like that. But we really found out that an after-action report can be referenced. We've actually tested and trained and found some vulnerabilities that helps. It also points out some good things. We had some really good things. Teamwork and communications amongst different agencies coming together was seamless. Everybody participated. Everyone, as one person said, put in all the work. They put in work. They definitely did. And then once I have that after-action report, I can present that.
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
We had a really good turnout. It was, yeah.
Some of the plus and deltas, we have addressed that one of our mutual aid medical partners did not have our radio frequencies in their radio, so we're already working on with them to get them to make sure we're up there on that. So if we do need them, that's probably a crucial thing that we found that we've already fixed. And another thing is I'm trying to acquire some different equipment to mitigate leaks. Hangers that we've done. I wasn't aware that we didn't have that on every engine.
And that's why we do this.
So that's exactly what we try to do with this.
We'd rather find out in training than real life scenario and be able to improve that way.
And that's the evidence of that. So the big thing with training, and it's important, kind of like Don was mentioning, this is a quote I kind of like to have, is we don't practice until we get it right, we practice until we can't get it wrong. And I'd rather do that. Simulated event than an actual life.
I'm going to ask someone from Dixie Auto Parts to come up to receive a certificate of appreciation.
Yeah, and the event of this size would not been put on without his
100%.
100%.
Right.
He gave us plenty of input.
They did all the heavy work. But yeah, I just want to thank you.
A wonderful space.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys, everything you did for us and making that possible.
Turn around so that we can get a good photo.
Can we have photos?
Pardon?
Can we get a picture?
Get on over there, Billy.
Shouldn't we have some of the participants?
Aren't you some more?
We've got Stormy.
You have someone?
We've got the
There's Stormy,
Isn't it sure?
Colonel Bright,
John Taylor.
Those are the folks that ought to be in the photo.
Yeah.
Kittrell,
Yep.
Sheriff Campbell. Come on. Snuggle up there.
Don't you need your glasses?
Thank you. I wanted Sheriff Campbell to get his steps in, because I'm going to call you next. I let you go all the way back there to bring you right back up here again.
Thank you, and good to see all you guys. It's not going to take but a minute, but I just thought, to give credit where credit is due, and that is to our water department. They get bashed and hammered a lot, but last Thursday night, I was out with that crowd between 8:30 and 9 o'clock for a cut water line. Not the first one and not the second one of many. And what that did was put the whole little town of Eula out of water for hours. The line was cut by the cable crews putting in the fiber optic. And from my understanding with Brad, there's 5 crews in our county, and they're going to be in our county for probably up to the next year. So these guys were out. I think they had 2 17-hour days that week repairing water lines. So I appreciate what they do. It was hot, it was muddy. Yes, that's their job, but I appreciate what they do. I really do. So shout out to the water department.
All right. Mr. Bright, broadband update. Mr. Bright is the chairperson of the broadband committee.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, board members, county manager. I'm going to regress just a second. I lost 12 pounds on this thing the other night with him, I'm sure, that heat. So, but it turned out to be really good and eye-opening. And I can, with part of what happened, what Sheriff Campbell was talking about, I was doing boots on the ground work for the broadband, and I rode by, I saw water squirting up. I said, uh-oh. I stopped and I said, "You cut something?" He said, "I don't know." Then I met the county water truck. So it is starting to really get busy here with our broadband, I can tell you that. At this time, your Hospital, Core Peak, Drum Hill, Page Riddick area, Gates, Sunbury, and Gatesville have crews working. And in Drum Hill, they now have light in high speed in that section, and they are loving it. Part of Page Riddick Road and some of the side roads off there have high speed now and with a provider, and they love their provider. I got mine last week, and I can attest that with 5 cell phones, 2 laptops, didn't even know we were using it. So they're working on that. We do still have some issues. One of them I'll come back to in a minute, but I have seen in the last 3 days, Dominion Power is now replacing poles that are with both providers, which is a start. North Carolina Farm Bureau got that ball rolling for us big time with the FCC. They finally met with the FCC through a video conference, and they sent something to the providers, and it didn't take long. So, but we're still having problems with the FCC, and I'll touch that again in a minute. The pole is being replaced right now on Highway 37 in Zines. They have not touched any of those at this point. I can say that 5 has decided they're not going to be in the air. They're going to bore the whole way down there to just alleviate the problem altogether. So that might slow down their rollout there, getting permits to bore and this sort of thing, but they have got one plow crew or boring machine there now starting to take care of that. So that's going to be a big help to the farmers on 37. Some actions that need to come from the board, especially right now, real fast, is public comment is going to be open sometime by the FCC and the Department of Information Technology about how to spend some money. They kind of have limited it a little bit, and I guess our congressman's rep, he's aware of it too. FCC needs to kind of give them a little bit more leeway on that for replacing poles. They want to keep it just as they're going. They need to backtrack a little bit, and stuff that's, as they're going out to it, they want it to be the last mile, but they need to reinterpret what that last mile is to get cable and the fiber to these people. They have not updated their maps. This is the issue I worked on same time that the mains got cut. FCC and the state identified 283 residences that are not served or underserved, and they kind of requested some help. Well, lo and behold, them 288 houses some of them have 2 providers at this point, and fiber is being placed in so those 288 houses don't exist by the map, and I see one of the maps in your book right there.
We've got them.
So that's irrelevant. I called the FCC, talked to I've been 4 tiers into the telephone calls, and nobody wants to talk to me about the maps being updated. Myself as a citizen, I can't update it because it's address specific. But I think the homeowner can, but it's irrelevant now. They've got the service or will have the service. There are still some places that on the last mile, will have to be picked up. Flat Branch Road's got a couple. Those houses that's at Webb off of there that, there's 2 houses or 3 and that's it. That'll fall under the last mile. So I'm going to try to identify as many as that I can. And I think once we start sending letters that it's important, instead of the provider saying where they want to go for that last mile, that the counties need to identify where that last mile is. We know where the houses are that are in the trees, we know where the houses are that are up the dirt lanes, and they need to listen to us and not the providers. So as that comes about here soon, we need to be on top of that. It's how that money is spent, and you're the ones that can handle that. With that same part that's happening, some of the providers have come back with that money and want something a little bit different. They're asking the FCC to backtrack funding and the federal government. I feel sorry for them. I do grant work for our fire department, and you sign 50,000 times, it seems like, that when you submit your grant, you're accepted, this money is what you're going to get, and you realize you're going to get that, and don't come back asking for any more, because we're not going to give it to you. But now they're crying and coming to them, oh, we underbid, we couldn't get it. This is again for the county, and the county manager's working on this already. But you bid that way, you lowballed it, hey, that's life. So if we get the backing here and with the FCC, I think we can take care of some of that. There will be public comment open for that. FCC, as of today, does not know when that public comment time is going to be. You can kind of go figure that out. Department of Information Technology doesn't have any time frame about the pole height requirements yet. The last information that I got last week, and I think you might have some of it too, they want to cap the height at 17 feet. That's not going to work. They've got some outdated drawings from John Deere that don't even show their 18 and 20 foot tall pieces of equipment. So as we're working that for replacement and cable heights and changing the right-of-way heights and this sort of thing, 20 feet should be the minimum. In the way we look at it, 20 feet. And if they can't provide that 20 feet, as they're building their plant and bidding, bury it. And it's not that many locations, and we've talked about that before. You know, in our county, I think we have 30 of them right now that have been identified. Instead of replacing all these poles, they can just drop down and go underground and go past it and be done with it, if they so desire, other than field crossings. But one provider's taking care of it, other provider's not. And if you don't think it's not funny, go down in front of Dr. Riddick's house last week. You have two providers trying to work on the same pole doing the same thing with bucket trucks, riding over top of one that was leapfrogging going down 158. No cones, no traffic, nothing. So this morning I got a call, and I went to the people doing the direction board and said, do you have cones? He said, what's cones? I said, things that are orange with, oh yes sir, they're in the truck. I said, well, why don't you have them out here? Oh, we don't need to. You're working on state right away. Tim's applies to you like it does myself as a fire department firefighter. You need cones out. No signs, no cones, nothing. And it was almost that bad in front of on 158 last week. So, you know, if the sheriff's department or whoever, if you see somebody, ask them for the cone, sheriff. You have to do it, we have to do it, they need to do it. Somebody will get hurt.
They were on 32 this afternoon with no cones.
Yeah. So, and they hadn't located any fibers or water lines. And I asked them, I didn't see any blue marks or any orange marks. There's no fiber in the water lines here. I said, well, you're standing on top of 166 fiber right now. You get ready to make a bore. Now, if you want to pay to get it fixed, keep on boring. And then I said, oh yeah, that's a 6-inch water main down there too that every boring around hadn't located. So I don't know how we can stop that, but by statutes, they're supposed to have it located, and if they cut it, break it, they're liable for the repair of it.
So we can charge them for all the water lines.
I think
Try.
Time.
That's up in the air right now. We are working with the county manager on a letter. He sent me the draft today. We had a broadband meeting yesterday, and we've already asked the county manager to draft 2 letters. One is getting ready to probably be sent to the DIT and Mr. Jeff Brooks I think you heard that name before.
Yes, I have.
And they will be at the conference next week in Wake County. They're going to present, and I'm going to ask Vice Chair Craddock to be at that meeting because he needs to understand and see what they're proposing, not just because it's Gates County has the issue, it's an issue across the state.
It's across the state.
And they want us to take the lead in that, in far as, since we,
And I think their
identified.
excuse is it takes too long to get it located, we're on a time frame, we've got our own people that can locate. Not the same. I mean, they're guessing where the water mains are. True, they can pick up some of the cables, but not necessarily all the fiber cables. And the boring machine can hit hard ground, and it can be a mistake that it just happens to pop up where it's not supposed to. But most of those guys that work those machines, if you set a plate out 400 yards down the road, they're going to come up in the middle of the plate. So it's just a matter of them taking their time and doing what they're supposed to do. But
I want to give Erna a shout out. Erna drove almost 120 miles last week chasing down addresses when we received those, this report that you're looking at in your handout. And he quickly identified that those maps were not right. He sits at his home,
Right.
that's what he does. And he does it as a volunteer. And I want to say that the Board of Commissioners and on behalf of the citizens, we appreciate you being on the ground and can quickly say this is not right, and then actually go out there and see them.
I had forgot how far Fort Allen Road was to the end.
And he's also in Raleigh. He goes to Raleigh and sit in those meetings, and he speaks very well about what he knows. He doesn't have to, he knows it. And so he's running into something he's not accustomed to probably. People don't believe their own eyes. But he's been doing a good job. Matter of fact, we're trying to get more earners across the state, volunteers in all the counties that can actually put boots on the ground and knock on doors and see what's going on versus the maps that we know are incorrect. They may be correct, but they're not accurate.
They're not accurate.
That's a difference. What they're saying is correct to them, but it's not accurate because we have boots on the ground and they haven't updated the maps, and they're going by the maps, and that's just the way it is. That's the bureaucracy that we're fighting right now, but I think we're on the right track. I think that we're going to be fine in North Carolina. I do want Mr. Bright, Erna, I asked him to get the phone number and a link to each one of the providers, so if you want to call them, you want to sign up for their service code. It's a subscription. We can't tell you who to sign up with. It's just a subscription, whatever you want. If you want Spectrum, you want 5, you want Brightspeed, or whoever else. It's up to the individual household and citizen, but we can dictate who the county will help with funding, all that grant money, and that's what we're doing right now. And we're going to the next level. We're going to the CAB level. That letter that Mr. Sowers drafted is basically talking about the next level of funding that we're going to have to go through. And then the final is the last mile. You just heard him say about the last mile. So there are steps to all this funding, and we are fortunate to be on the ground and know exactly what to do. We've got charts, we got graphs, and we got Erna.
I will say, as a citizen, when it comes time, when you see whoever in your house, go ahead and call, put in an order form. Roanoke Connect is now 5. When you talk with Spectrum, I don't know where this is at. I've called and haven't got anything, but I did talk with Roanoke Connect and they said go to their website, you can go in and do it, or you can call them. It's faster.
It is.
Roanoke Connect their business has kind of picked up more than I think they anticipated, so it's easier probably if you can go online with your phone or use their app or whatever and sign up for it. And go ahead and sign up for it if you think you want them. They will be coming by your house soon.
Like on 32, I've got Spectrum Gang 32. We'll have Roanoke Connect Gang 32 as well.
Right, and Brightspeed doesn't have any plans to go that far yet at this time that I have seen. They'll be in Corpic and Folly Road and Savage Road, I think, is what they got awarded. And I know what they'll do in between, I don't know. I haven't been able to find that out. But go ahead and call and place your orders and think of the level of service you need. Some people still might want cable TV and fiber. Well, you're going to have, deal with the person that has that service. But if you want to use Fire Stick or something like that, and you don't want to port your telephone, or even if you do want to port your telephone, 5 can handle that. So each company's got some of the same things, but look at what you want to do and what you want to do with it. And look at that. And I guess just from, as you're doing this as a parent, make sure that if for some reason you decide to cut the cord altogether and do away with a landline or something, if you have children and you're gone, is there a cell phone or is there a way that your children can get 911? Don't leave them home alone without some way to call. And there used to be the landline, that's the cell phone, but if mama's got done cell phone, she's gone, and you have a problem at your house, and then that's a bad problem.
I am going to ask the clerk, Ms. Chestnut, to work with Mr. Bright and post those numbers and the link on the Facebook, on our website, so that, very prominent under broadband, and these are the numbers for all the providers. We're not choosing one, we just gave you contact information for each one of the providers. So you can click on the link or pick up the phone and call the 800 number and talk to them, or you can link it. So I will make sure that the citizens of this county have that opportunity. If you run into trouble, please do not call Erna. Unless they cut a water line. Unless they cut a water line, try to get in touch with their customer service. And then if you have issues with customer service with these providers, please let the board know so that we can, say, you're in the county providing services, but you're not providing the customer service that the citizens require. We want to make sure that all our citizens have an opportunity to get the fiber or broadband they need. We know we need it. We know we need it. So
Elizabeth City is bragging.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I knew about that already anyway. And Elizabeth City and Edenton both are bragging about their new contracts they have. Well, our whole county is going to be giddy. So,
just stop it, Erna.
But if there's any questions that you...
Any more questions from Erna? He'll be back next month because it's really getting busy out there.
Busy.
And he's right, on 158, I was looking out the window, I called Erna. Erna, what the world? They had bucket trucks everywhere, boring machines everywhere, not a cone to be found. And then finally, I knew he had called, and somebody did something, but then all of a sudden the cones went out. I'm like, okay. So
I'm not too liked by those guys. When they see me when I jump out my truck, they know my red truck.
They know you.
If there's anything...
They know your red truck and your cargo pants. They know who you are.
Anything that you come up with that you need, let me know.
Sure will. Thank you, Erna.
Thank you.
Really, thank you. All right, we're just about at the end. We're going to new business. Budget Amendment F24002, allocate remaining ARPA funds to cover engineering and design on the Merchants Commerce Center. County Manager Scott Sauer will provide information.
Thank you. Credit really goes to Mr. Robertson when he was doing the year-end closeout and trial balance for all the funds and reconciliation. He identified that when I presented the ARPA plan for approval, I had not identified 100% of all the ARPA money that had been allocated to Gates County. And he identified that there was still $52,873 that had not yet been allocated on the ARPA plan. And with the development of the Commerce Center project, the next phase, we do not have it funded. So I would like to ask that we incorporate these funds for professional services to keep that project advancing. And that's F24002. The second budget amendment, F24003, are both health department related and specifically for our first responders and the attempts to prevent overdose deaths. There was a grant agreement that the board approved at the April 19th meeting. I believe Stormy Butts was here for that presentation. The board approved the grant agreement, but we did not have a budget amendment presented at that time. That is $16,728. That's for the mobile response team. Then for the month of August, we've received a grant agreement from the Health Department for $7,520, and this will be for supplies such as fentanyl test strips, noxaline syringes, and other materials that will be used and shared by all of our public first responders. So I am asking this evening for approval on the remaining ARPA dollars and then the grant dollars related to the community linkages to care program through the Health Department, with adopting both the budget amendment and the grant agreements.
Let's do them one at a time. The first one is a budget amendment for fiscal year 24-002, allocating remaining ARPA funds to cover engineering and design on the Merchants Commerce Center. Action requested. Motion to approve budget amendment F24-002.
So move.
I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think it's critical that we have the monetary in place for the development of our commerce part, and that we have money in place for the next phase for the growth of our economic development.
Hearing no other discussion, I'm calling for the vote. Action request and second is a motion to approve budget amendment F24002. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
4 yea, 1 nay. Motion approved. The second action is the request for, let me get back to it, $7,520 and $16,728 for the Albemarle Regional Health Service for the Community Linkages to Care Grant Program. Motion on the floor.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Now, when I looked at this, I saw $7,520 and $16,728. So this motion has been approved, and that is coming from the CARE Grant Program. I see Mr. Robinson over there, and I asked him how much money we have for opiate. And you sent me a report that in total, from fiscal year 23, which is last year, and upcoming fiscal year 24, there's $100,768.50. That is separate from what we just passed, correct? That's separate. So in other words, we just approved $7,520 and another $16,728, but we already have $100,768.50. That makes sense? I'm just trying to, because I wanted to clarify, when I saw this come in, I wanted to clarify that was not encompassing in what we are getting from the settlement. So that's,
Right.
I want to make sure. That's,
This here's some grant that's been given by our regional health system, so it's completely different.
right, I wanted to make sure everybody understood that this money we just approved is not in the money from the settlement for the state that came down from the state, which started with the federal government, all these settlements. So right now we have $100,768.50 in the bank. And we will be getting more money because I think for this fiscal year of 24, it's supposed to be $126,000. So I see we got on July the 20th, we got $12,345.15. And then August 2nd, we got another $21,989.92. There are 2 more payments to come, because I see you have blanks there. So there are 2 more payments to come this year. We need to expend those dollars. We have an opiate issue in all the counties, not just Gates County, and thankfully it's not as bad as some counties. The sheriff and his staff have done a very good job, and so has EMS, as far as using what medications they have and everything, but it's larger than that. So that $100,000 should be engaged in attacking opiate. That's what it's for. Now, they're very specific in how you can spend it. It's very specific. You have to have approval once it goes through the internal process in each county. So, last meeting, I asked for volunteers to sit on the committee with Commissioner Truman. She wasn't here, but I had spoken to her on the phone, and then I made that announcement at this meeting. I'm saying it again. We have got to engage this money for education, to prevent people using, especially all the way down to the middle school. I'm looking at the sheriff because I know he knows what I'm talking about. We need to engage some type of programs in this county for prevention and intervention. The best practices are online under opiate that the state has posted for us. They track this money. There is also some webinars. There are also some concurrent sessions next week. All the commissioners are traveling next week. We're going to Wake County to the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Convention. And I think the county manager is going on Friday for the county manager's luncheon. He'll be there. But we will be there. It is the expectation of this board that we get this committee implemented so that we can start identifying how we're going to spend the money, so that the committee can make recommendations to the county manager and the board, and we can attack this opiate issue we have in this county. We have a drug issue in this county. All the counties do, but like I said, thank God it's not as bad as some counties. But we must start now. It's been over a year. So from the chair and the board of commissioners, I implore you, and I'm asking the board clerk, that on the page where we have the applications for committees, assignments, please put up there that we are we want to be assertive in people or positions really applying and get on this committee. It's expected that the opiate committee would have representation for all the first responders, from the sheriff's office, EMS, fire, dispatchers, and feed them to Commissioner Truman so she can go through them and start building this committee.
Okay.
And I know we have a lot to do, but Commissioner's going to be out of your hair next week. You don't have to worry about us worrying you. So by the end of next week, while we're away, hopefully you can put that on the website and get some people, and spread the word. People may not be looking, they may not be here, and we just need some volunteers to help with this so that we can get things in place to start spending this $100,000, because more money is coming. We need to get this done.
And it's coming for the next years.
It's coming for the next 16 years. This is year 2. So we got 16, and it may get more because Attorney General Stein is still suing people. He won another one, a couple of weeks ago. Millions. So this is not all this coming, and we need to take advantage of it while the money is there.
And we need to use it wisely.
So, and Dr. Riddick, I was going to talk to you later, but I mentioned here, I was looking in September at having an informational meeting for those that wanted more information before they volunteered. If there were questions, I have talked to some other counties, have some information I put together, just purely informational as to what it entails, what the funds can be used for, that kind of thing. Because I know the couple of people that have reached out to me have had those questions, saying, well, what exactly would we be volunteering for? What exactly are we looking at? So I did want to run it by you before I set a date with anything, but that is something being put together.
Well, that's fantastic. How about let's do this? How about sharing that list with the clerk so she can post it, so when they go and click, when they go to that Facebook page, instead of waiting for a meeting, they can already read about it before they start filling out the application.
Okay.
That would speed this up a little bit. Plus, it would be very beneficial to have that information right there before you even start filling it out, or keep calling you and asking you. Let's put it up there. And then when you get them together, go back over it again, and you'll have more information by then because you have traveled next week, gone to the website, have more information, and we're going to have to move this, and we will make sure on my action report that's on next month's action report to get an update and see, can we get people on this committee? Don't have to have a lot of them. If you want people that's going to work,
There's so much you can do with that money too,
Yeah.
not just buying the needles.
Not just an action, what they call.
It's so
Education,
much
like, lots of
education
things.
you can do with that money.
We need to
It's-
educate the young people and not so young people about these opiates, especially in the middle school. I'll say sometimes something in the elementary school.
Yeah, I would think start, the
And the
advertising starts
churches.
soon, it's getting earlier and earlier.
So,
I mean, you look at this report that she was just speaking about earlier, suicide at ages from 2011, 24, and 2020, 57. And the highest year ages is 15 to 17.
17.
That's your high school age. You know, so,
And we've had it in the county, and it seems to get more and more.
so it's,
And that contributes to our mental crisis, mental health
I-
crisis that we have in the county.
Mr. Godwin, you helped us with the paperwork, and I believe they're going to ask for a report soon as far as what are we doing with that money. I've seen, I forgot what they call it, but I do know they want to check in with all the counties and see how far, not just us, but all the counties, what are we doing and how are we using the money? Because you're going to be accountable for it. You just can't use it for anything. And they give you some steps that you have to follow. But the main point is 2 points. One, I wanted to make sure everybody was clear that the money we just received or passed that budget for was not included in the money we already have. That's why I asked William, he's the finance director, because when I saw it, I said, well, let me see about this. So now we got that clear, and now we know that we have to start building that committee so we can start spending that money so we can help save people from their own devices, really. Okay.
we voted on that.
Yeah, we-
Okay.
Did we vote on it?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought we did. I'm looking at the clerk. We voted on it. No, we didn't.
We didn't vote on it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That was the one to get the budget amendments for that money. Thank you, Vice Chair. The next one is amend FY 2023-24 fee schedule for planning, zoning, inspection fees. County Manager?
This is a housekeeping item. When the budget ordinance was assembled and presented to the board, yours truly missed one. And it was the revenue proposed fee schedule for the planning, development, and zoning. And it concentrates primarily on solar panel installation, communication tower application fees, and then they adjusted slightly the plat review fees. And I'm asking that we adopt this as an amendment to the fee schedule effective the 1st of next month. This was to have been in for July, and when I checked my email, she said, it was sent to me March 1st, and I missed it when we assembled all the other revenues. So I apologize for the oversight, but we'd like to try to get these fees current as recommended by the planning department.
I move that we adopt the changes.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we approve amended fiscal year 2023-2024 fee schedule for planning, zoning, and inspection fees. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. You're just about there, people. Hold on. Next is the Gates County Jury Commission appointment. The clerk will provide the information for that appointment.
In your packet, you have Fannie Langston. She's been serving diligently, and I sent her a letter, and she stated that she would like to be reappointed, and I just need a motion.
Action on the floor is a motion to approve reappointment for Fannie J. Langston to serve another one-year term on the Gates County Jury Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. All in favor? Item D, Gates County Board of Adjustment appointment. Madam Clerk.
Next, I have Mr. Joseph Perry. He is familiar with serving on the Board of Adjustments. He served a couple of years ago. I shared the application with Ms. Lisa Cherry, and she stated that he is eligible to serve again. So she had one vacancy.
I don't have any problem with Mr. Perry, but I know when we talk about the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board, we have always strived to be geographically diverse, so that one section of the county is represented much so, because it's very different in our county, according to the communities you live on. I hope that is always taken into consideration, because that is, I mean.
I understand what you're saying. The people have to apply, they have to put in the application and.
Used to be, it was a little bit, people would go around and try to find some people too.
Who would those people be? Would it be the commissioners?
Well, sometimes it was people on the,
On the board?
board.
Okay,
or
I can
all
talk to
the
Lisa about it.
commissioners, too.
Okay,
But the action on the floor is a motion to approve
Yes,
appointment for
I
Joseph
did
Perry
have
to serve a 2-year term on the Gates County Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Second.
Then properly motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
thank you.
There's a new committee, a standing committee called the Public Safety Committee, and I will speak briefly about that. A couple of weeks ago, Mr. Sauer and Mr. Todd Riley and I had an opportunity to meet with I think it was the EMS board and the sheriff and 911 about some concerns that they were trying to work out. And what I took from that and talking to Mr. Sauer is that, we have standing committees, and I think the Public Service Standing Committee is very important. Most counties have them. They call it something else. That they sit together and work out some of the issues with the county commissioner, that's the liaison. I asked Mr. Jonathan Craddock, would he take on that charge, and he said yes. What does that mean? It means that the sheriff, Ray Campbell, and Mr. Butts, who is the chief paramedic from Gates County Rescue and EMS, and Ms. Dawn Abbott, who is E911 director, and Mr. William Tuttrider, the interim emergency management director, and the fire chief would be on that committee or their designee. And all it is, not all it is, it's very important that they work together. They're just first responders. So when I was at the meeting and Mr. Sauer and I sat there and listened to some of the issues that need to be worked out internally before we can even get in and have a say, because I don't know about Mr. Sauer, but they work really well together, but there's some things they have to work out amongst themselves before it comes to the Board of Commissioners. And they need to understand that we're here to support them with resources, whatever they may be, but they need to look at their policies, they need to look at their practices, they need to work it out amongst themselves. They're the ones, they're the first responders, that's why they call them that. So this committee would be self-run by them. They would choose a chair and a vice chair to take minutes. They would set the dates for the meetings, and no one says you have to meet every month. You can meet, but let Mr. Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, so he can attend. Or you can call him and say, well, what do you think about this? And then he can, give his input. If he needs to talk to the county manager or to the board one by one, that's fine to get, what I call it the temperature is. That does not say that you can't sit with the county manager or you can't sit with whoever or talk to whoever. It's just that you need to what I saw was back and forth about something that was not going to be settled that day. You needed to sit with each other and have all that input and just get her done so that we can understand as commissioners what your needs are and help you get to those resolutions sooner than later, and that we understand that it's a priority. What's the priority from this group? And so that's the gist of the standing committee, the Public Safety Committee, all the first responders. So, you work together anyway. And we also talked about that day that in the past, the EMS board would meet with the commissioners, I think, every once in a while or something. And Mr. Sauer said, that's a good idea. So just like we meet with jointly with the school board sometimes, and we can meet with the EMS board or this committee and just sit here in open session and discuss the needs of your individual departments. That's the most efficient way, I think, and effective, that your needs are real time with the commissioner that's on the board, and he can work, with y'all together, separately, whatever, Because 30 days sometimes is a long time between meetings. And you need some action sometimes in less than 30 days. And so he can make that clear to the county manager, and we might could do something in interim or whatever, but get it on the books so we understand the importance of what you do. You're very important. First responders are that, they call it that for one reason. You're the first responders. And we want to make sure that when something happens in this county, it's addressed efficiently and effectively, and we'll do what we can to support you. So I know there have been some questions when you saw it on the agenda, and that's all it is. Nothing nefarious about it. It's just trying to make sure that you get your needs met, but more importantly, that the citizens get their needs met when they need services from 911. And whoever that has to respond, they have the resources, they have the policies in place, they have everything mostly that we as a county can supply. Mr. Craddock, don't get me like that. You got something to say?
Well, public health and safety is number one priority. It says it in the statute for county commissioners. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll work together as a team. We're not always going to agree, but we can find it happy medium so we can serve our citizens. That's what we're here for. It's like you said, first responders. When I pick up the phone and call 911, I want to make sure somebody's coming.
Somebody's going to come out. It's coming.
And everybody should have that opportunity.
The law enforcement, everything. We need to have that.
So we can all get together. We can meet over dinner. Or however you want to do it. But yeah, I think it's, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, and I think it'd be wonderful to have that collaboration between all departments and all first responders, and everybody be on the same page is the main thing.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And as you get yourselves together, make sure the clerk knows who's on the committee by name. I didn't name anybody because people change, but their authority doesn't. So that's why I did it this way, to put those categories. And you can have a designee. I know the sheriff is busy. He's all over everywhere and stormy. And so he may appoint someone to sit on this committee, but we need representation at some level on this committee so that your voice is heard and it's not filtered. And if it is, blame Mr. Craddock, because I am, going forward. So that's why that's there like that. I need a motion to approve this standing committee, the Public Safety Committee.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that Gates County would implement or institute the Public Safety Committee. All in favor? Aye. All right. County Manager Report updates.
Thank you. As the board will recall, last month, you awarded the contract to Consolidated Pipe and Supply Company for the radio read water meters. The meters will be delivered on Friday. Mr. Arnold indicates that they will be mobilizing for installation by the end of the month. So that's a project that there were no supply chain delays. We're going to be moving right ahead. Second, involving Mr. Arnold, the county earlier this spring advertised for requests for qualifications for on-call services of an engineering firm, also for project development, planning, grant preparation, and project management. Those submittals were due May 24th. The Public Utilities Director, Brad Arnold, and I reviewed the submittals and conducted interviews last week. And we are recommending that for this role, the board engage Green Engineering of Wilson, North Carolina. Green Engineering has exemplified an extraordinary effort to examine our water and wastewater utilities from an operational standpoint, a financial enterprise perspective, a long-range capital planning approach, and it has greatly benefited Mr. Arnold in his work with the public utilities. And with this recommendation, it would be appropriate to ask the board tonight to approve the designation of Green Engineering as the on-call services consultant for project development, planning, grant preparation, and project management of Gates County.
Any questions? Because you asked for action, so I don't want him to go take, I see, he has a list, so I don't want to lose track of that list. The motion on the floor is for him to engage, or the county to engage, Green Engineering as the firm that take lead in all projects, et cetera, in the county. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Item number 3, since 1995 in North Carolina, there's been a program set up by a nonprofit called Leadership North Carolina. They provide cutting-edge programming for current and emerging leaders from all across the state. Well, since 1995, there's never been a candidate or a representative from Gates County. Lisa Cherry has been selected and nominated as a candidate to participate. It's a 9-month program. It involves travel 1 weekend a month, and she's also been approved for a scholarship of nearly $7,000 to cover those costs. So I think this is an exciting time for both Lisa and for Gates County to make sure they all know that we're on the map, just like the work that you do in Raleigh. Again, that's just information.
Okay, you want a motion?
No, this is just information.
Information.
Just information. Item next is we're looking to the September board action, revaluation 2025. Had Chris Hill not transitioned to Chowan County, we would have had this to you a little bit earlier, but Ms. Taylor Fisher has really jumped into this. Next month, we will be bringing a schedule so that we can work through the appraisal of all 9,000 or so parcels in Gates County so that the values can be set by January 1, 2025. She will have, for your review, the request for proposals that we'll put out so that you'll get bid proposals from a number of consultants that I would suggest the board interview as a board because these are the folks who will be sending teams into the field. They'll be measuring around the house, around the barn, looking for that deck that might have been added, results of the survey process, the public input sessions, and also provide a detailed project history and a review of some of the infrastructure work that was done dating back almost 13 years when there was the initial sewer line installed, not only on 158, but also up the Cotton Gin Road to reach where the wastewater treatment plant is.
And that report is about the Merchants Commerce.
Commerce Center, yes. A number of times at the board meeting, I've been asked about the animal shelter and issues with cats or other things, and I'm going to ask the sheriff to work with me to put together a report to talk about how the county and the animal shelter work together to serve the needs of the citizens when these issues with unwanted either pets or strays come up. There's also a provision in our animal control ordinance where annually the board is supposed to receive a report in September to set the rabies fee that citizens pay to have their animals vaccinated for rabies. I don't know if we've been real active in that area, but as I had been encouraged to review the animal control ordinance, it's our obligation to bring a recommendation for a vaccine fee that will be charged either by veterinarians or the animal shelter when they provide those rabies shots. In addition,
Excuse me, is that in like a policy or ordinance?
that's in the ordinance.
Would you please ask the clerk to get that ordinance to each of us? So we
Sure,
can
we'll,
see-
we'll have that in the package.
Okay,
for
good.
you. Yeah.
It used to be done because it would be a big ad in the index, and it would tell you where where it was going to be. And then it kind of just fell off the map. I hadn't thought about it in years.
Well, the ordinance states we're to bring that to you in September, so try to get that in front of you. Also next month, Brad Arnold, with the assistance of the engineering firm, will be bringing the fall funding applications for water and wastewater projects. As we learned, we were not successful in the spring round. There were 155 applications statewide, only 9 were funded. And they rated them on points, they rated them on the different programs that various jurisdictions have in place. Out of the 155, on one project, we were at 105, on another project, we were at 134. Another item that will help us in the scoring, Mr. Arnold will be bringing forth our approved wellhead protection plan. And that's where we protect the groundwater through the planning. And this project was actually provided by the Rural Water Association, excuse me. We've received preliminary approval, but we hope to have the letter in hand by your next meeting. We will also provide some revisions to the capital improvement plan for the water and sewer system. I'm going to give you this handout, but on the last page, I've got a list of about 16 things that your interim county manager wasn't able to scratch off his list and is going to need some discussion with the board. I'm only going to touch on a few of them at the top. The renovations on the former dental office that I've been calling locally the county annex building that will house Board of Elections, Veteran Services, and the EIC program is nearly complete. And, we share that space with one of our community partners, the food pantry, the GEMS program. And I know there's a lease in effect, and I'd like to see us work very closely with them to partner to make sure that we're being as supportive as we can. I met last week with Renee McGinnis to sort of kick that off. The community center project on the other side of the highway that we heard from Michael Solario about the $2 million roof and all the associated costs. As Brad and I talked with engineering groups about things that are happening in Gates County, we talked about that, and it's been flagged as something we ought to look at to see if there are other alternatives to spending $2 million on a roof for a facility that's just 16,000 square feet. So I'd like to have a little bit lengthier work session to talk about some of those options. The last one, and I'll leave it at this, I've got a list on my desk that many people have contributed to of nuisance complaints, buildings that have been condemned, zoning violations, and other, I'll just say, eyesores in the community that somewhere fall within the jurisdiction of the county, and they need to be dealt with. And on the condemnations, much of that is a legal process, but I think before we pull the trigger on these things, it would be to everyone's benefit to have a discussion with the board to review the staff work, which has been excellent, that's been done. But as the days go by, I get visits from the sheriff. I'm going to pick on Sheriff Campbell. He went to a community meeting, I think in Hobbsville, to talk about just issues in the community, and he's been hammered about a problem that's developed that's really a zoning/land use issue, possibly a public health issue, and I'd like to see us spend some time in a concentrated work session to really look at some of these examples, because they're not just examples, they are real life situations that are impacting neighborhoods across the county in every corner of the county. And I guarantee that'll be a lively discussion. And I'd like to mention just a couple other things. When we were doing the housing wrap-up after the public hearing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention accolades for the folks that work downstairs in the finance office. You've got Daphne Walker and Marie Roundtree, who for all the years of that grant have been carrying the heavy water, and I think Mr. Robertson would attest that they too share in the relief and the success of closing out that project. And lastly, on a personnel matter, we have extended an offer to a very qualified candidate for the HR director position. That offer has been accepted, and the candidate needs adequate time to notify the current employer. So I've been asked not to make an announcement of a name or anything like that. But I think we are checking the boxes and plugging in the holes where we need some extra help, and hope to have more on that next month. That's all I got.
Well, thank you. You're no longer interim. As of August 14th, which was Monday at 12:01, you became a 3-year employee of Gates County. So don't be calling yourself interim anymore.
Okay.
You are the county manager, always have been. So let's give him a hand for a job well done.
I appreciate your confidence, and I'll try not to let you down.
I'm going to check, make sure you got that paperwork in. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, quickly, we're going to have commissioners' committee updates. Mr. Roundtree.
Good evening, Gates County residents. I had the opportunity to attend the Department of Social Service, North Carolina Department of Social Service Institute, August 2nd through August the 4th. And at the Institute, it gives members of the board of social service an opportunity to learn about the laws, learn how we can better serve Department of Social Services in our county. And it also gave us an update on legislative issues that affect the Department of Social Services. Also, this institute provides education training for directors and the staff. We had 2 members of the staff to join us along with Director Smith. It was a great institute. It took place in Hickory, North Carolina. And as Mr. Director Smith indicated earlier, Gates County took it home. Won the Innovation Award in the area of community engagement, and the project that we had was our first annual baby shower. We took that category first place, so that was very exciting. Also, as he mentioned, August is Child Support Awareness Month, and I'd like to thank Dr. Riddick for giving a proclamation earlier. Also, on Thursday, August 31st, from 1 p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m., there will be a free diabetes screening, which will also take place at Gates County Department of Social Services. My report for the Albemarle Regional Health Service, we did not have an executive meeting for the month of July, but we did in the month of July. We had our annual tour. Our annual tour is when the director, along with members of the board, visit their local health department, meet with the different divisions within that health department, and strategize how we can maximize our efforts to improve the Department of Public Health, how we can minimize costs, how we can better serve the public in the area of health. And it was a very good strategic meeting that we had for the month of July. However, we will convene our regular meeting August 22nd of this month. Also, I had the pleasure to attend stakeholders Appreciation Day, which was given by Gateway Community Health Services. CEO Rose Turner, along with the staff, Mr. Sylvester Parker, Chair, Madam Riddick, Second Chair. Also, we were pleasure to have Representative Bill Ward, Mayor Elton Winslow, also Democratic Chair, Mr. Anthony Saunders, along with other dignitaries. We had a tour of the mobile health clinic. They had 2 mobile facilities there. We toured facilities, great facilities. And this is all in an effort to better serve our community and provide services for our citizens. And that will conclude my report. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Craddock?
All right, start out once again thanking everyone that worked on the housing grant to get it closed out. It's been a headache, been a heartache, audits.
Yep.
There's probably a little bit of crying involved in it too. We thought we were gonna have to pay back a whole lot of money one time, a whole lot. But just a big thank you for the housing committee, everybody that worked on it. It was a team effort. Just so glad to have that behind us and moving forward in a different direction. I want to echo off what Sheriff Campbell said about the water department. I know it's hard. I had a few phone calls. Said, you got any pool in the water department? We don't have no water. It's not that many of them. They're doing all they can do. We have still have a fairly new team that's still learning the county, but they're moving definitely in the right direction. Water meters getting ready to start going in here shortly, and get some of the revenue coming back to the county that we're losing. So shout out to the water department. Thank you for everything you do and the late nights that you work. We had a landfill, PCG landfill meeting. I can't remember the date of it. Mr. Sauer and Ms. Hoffler was there, and had some real good conversation. There's some work that needs to be done, and we were having a hard time getting engineering firm to come out. So was able to help find 4 or 5 more engineer possibility companies to look at that. So hopefully we'll be moving forward in the right direction on that shortly. I want to finish off. I'm stealing all Ms. Hoffler's stuff that she usually talks about. Convenience sites, trash. You don't realize how much it costs the county. And I'm talking about going from $40 a ton to $80 a ton. And I can't remember how many tons exactly we haul off in a year, but it is a lot. It's such a high number I can't remember. But when you go from $40 a ton to $80 a ton, it adds up. And guess who pays for that? Taxpayers.
We're looking.
Yep. Taxpayers pay for the hauling fees and everything. Those taxpayers' dollars that. So everybody can do their little part, separate the trash, put the bottles where the bottles go, put the wood where the wood goes. It's not hard. I've been guilty of it in the past, but knowing what I know now, my trash is separated. But just let's everybody do their little part. And if you have any issues while you're at the landfill, or not the landfill, but at our convenience sites, please feel free to reach out to us. Complaints, attaboys, it's all the above. But thank you all for coming out tonight. I really appreciate seeing all the faces out here. Thank you all.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffler?
Well, I don't have to say much. Tourism, at our last meeting, we were fortunate to have Kathy Pritchett, who is Visit NC from Raleigh, to come visit and talk to us about what was offered and what she could offer or the state could offer. And I thought it was very beneficial, and she told me she loved rural North Carolina, and I believe she does. She said, I said, well, you know, we'll give you time to talk. She said, oh, don't worry. You'll probably want to pull the hook off on me. And she could talk. She was, and she gave us a lot of good ideas. And we're at the point now, I think we need to prioritize what we need to do first. We are constantly looking for ways to promote tourism, but about some actual things that we can do ourselves to, whether it's rat cards or the website, you know, we have to get things in order to do it justice. But I am very pleased with the team that we have. They all show up on time, and they bring a lot to the table. And I think they're very representative of the county. Some new people to the county, some people who have been here for generations. So it is and we all feel free to talk and not, you know, and listen to each other. And that's when you come up with great ideas that you're going to listen to. Couple of things. The PGC, as Commissioner Craddock said, the cost of hauling appears to be going up. We are trying to figure out ways to help lower that cost. But there are some things that county can do, citizens can do, and he referred to it. Segregate your trash. You know, put your glass in the glass container, put the recyclables in that, put the general trash in metal dumpsters. And that's not hard. And that would save us a ton of money. Because every time a load is contaminated, we don't get as much price for it as that we should. So that's something we all need to do. And yes, we do have concerns about sometimes citizens' reactions or engagements with the people who work there. I think everybody needs to understand that, you know, everybody's trying to do the job. And if you don't know where something goes, ask them and they'll tell you. And when they tell you that metal goes in metal and you don't put it there, that's not correct. Now, you wouldn't want your children to do that. If you ask them to do something and they don't put it in the right place, I think you would have something to say. These are public employees. They are part-time. Treat them with respect, and I think they would treat you with respect. I have not seen one that has not treated me with respect. So, I try to say please and thank you. Also, Albemarle Commission, I have a meeting with them tomorrow night. But I had one at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, and they're applying for grants for housing.